Hi everybody, Michelle McLuhan, an astrologer and life navigator, and I'm bringing you an astrology update for the next full moon, which is happening in the sign of Taurus, and it is a beautiful, big, bold supermoon, which means that the moon is closer to the earth, and therefore it's bigger, it's brighter, it's more intense, and it can actually bring to the surface intense emotions as well, because the moon is the feminine. So the sun shines its light onto the moon and reveals whatever's there in the feminine. So if you look at the two signs, which is basically the two energies that are around this full moon, obviously there's more because there's other alignments, which I'm going to describe to you. But basically, if you look at those two, it seems very much like a tree with roots. And when we look at the energy of a tree, imagine that you're a big tree and you're standing in all your glory and you're showing the world and you're showing the universe what you've got. That's your outward manifestation, your branches, your leaves, your beauty, your fruit, the fact that you can be a source of nourishment, that you're receiving nourishment from the sun, from the rain, from the air, from the ground. But basically it's a physical manifestation. That's the Taurus. Taurus wants physical manifestation. Taurus wants to feel that it's steady and secure and stable and grounded, and it wants to really enjoy the sense of actually feeling safe. So what we do is we put a lot of attention on the physical realm. We look at our home, our finances, our resources, how much money we've got in the bank, how big our house is it comfortable? We look at the physical. We look at the physical manifestation of our body. Those are all Taurian related areas. Money, resources, beauty, building something secure and stable, which helps us to feel secure. Okay, so that's Taurus. But when you really look at it, the security and the stability of the tree is actually based on the root system. Without a root system, that tree is not going to stand, not even for a day. But because the roots are unseen, we often ignore the roots. We don't look at them, we don't think about them. They're sort of down there somewhere, they're underneath the surface. Sometimes that's a bit scary if you look at it psychologically. You don't want to go underneath the surface to look at anything sort of dark and foreboding. But if you really look at a root system, it's magnificent. You know, roots are what connects us. Roots in a tree connected to the other trees and to the other plants, and basically anchors the tree and feeds it the nourishment that it needs as well. So I think it's very often that we ignore the root and we just look at the surface. We look at what we can see and we take our stability from there. And what I'm seeing in this full moon is that we're being encouraged to tend to the deeper soul of our being, to look deeper, to feel deeper, and to see if our foundations are strong enough to carry us into a new cycle of growth, which, as I've been explaining over the last few months, is coming, but we're in the process of it. We're kind of in between worlds in a way. We still have these planets that are moving out of signs and haven't completely moved into their new cycle. Just the other day, we had Neptune moving back into Pisces. Now, Neptune's been in Pisces for about 13 years or so, and it is now finishing off its cycle in Pisces by going back. It's going retrograde, so it's going back into Pisces until January next year, when it moves permanently into Aries. Pisces being the last sign of the zodiac, Aries being the first sign of the zodiac. Traveling alongside Neptune is Saturn, who's also been going backwards and forwards from Pisces to Aries, from Pisces to Aries. It's gone back into Pisces and will also be coming forward into Aries at the beginning of the year, and then the two of them will come together in February at 0 degrees of Aries. That depicts a new beginning of sorts, some kind of a shift, okay? And that's usually a global shift, a collective shift, because it's not a personal thing necessarily. It'll be more personal to you if you have planets or points in your chart which are at those degrees. If you have planets or points in the mutable signs at the final degrees, So that would be Pisces, Gemini, Sagittarius, or Virgo. Or if you have planets in the first degrees or the beginning degrees of any of the cardinal signs, which is Capricorn, Cancer, Libra, or Aries, then you might be feeling it more. But it's a global thing, it's a collective thing that we're all feeling. So we are finishing off cycles and preparing ourselves for a new cycle. So if you can imagine that you're building a new house, you need to make sure that the foundations are steady before you actually start putting the walls up. That's what we're doing. So this full moon is actually saying go back into the root system and check your roots. See what's there. See if they need more space. See if the area around the roots needs to be cleared a bit to allow more growth, space for growth. See what is maybe stunting the growth of that, whatever it is that you want to build. So it just feels very like a very strong metaphor for what is going on now. And so to ask ourselves, if we go sort of deeper, what needs nourishing in my being? What might I have neglected over the last few years, over the last 13 years, with these cycles? And what do I need to do to reinforce these roots of mine? Can I actually go down into the roots? That's Scorpio. That's Scorpio season. Scorpio says, go down into the roots and see what's there. See what may have been repressed, what may still be bubbling around down there, which needs to be brought up to the surface, transmuted and alchemized. So that's a very big theme that we're experiencing this full moon and over the next month, okay? In addition to that, the ruler of the full moon is Venus. Venus is in her final little few moments in Libra. She's at 28 degrees at this full moon, and she's the ruler of the full moon. So she's an important part of the picture and of the energy. She is in a connection with Jupiter and Chiron, which can mean that old wounds start to come up to the surface. So anything to do with our sense of self-worth, our lack of self-worth, our lack of feeling that we have a voice, that we are sovereign beings, that we have an individual uniqueness, anything which says that we may have overcompensated by giving our power away or by over-cooperating, being the pleaser too much. Any of those themes could be amplified. Also themes around family, because Jupiter, which is one of the elements in this connection, in this pattern, is in the sign of Cancer, which relates to family, it relates to home, it relates to the sense of belonging that we do or don't feel. So that can also be brought to the surface, looking at what we see as injustice, looking at the polarized nature of should I do this or should I do this, or I'm right and you're wrong, and actually trying to find the balance point, the middle point, the neutral point in between, because that's what Libra wants. Libra wants peace, balance, and harmony, but at this full moon, it might not be feeling peace, balance, and harmony. It might be feeling all sorts of uncomfortable, inharmonious emotions. So how do we deal with that? Can we hold a space for those possibly uncomfortable feelings? And that's another theme of this full moon, is can we hold space? Can we actually just be present for whatever comes and wants to come up into the light, without judging it, without pushing it away, without repressing it, without making a story about it, without reacting off it? If we need to say something, can we say something in a balanced way and then let it go? Or are we going to go back into the whole story and into the turmoil of it? That's a choice. So that is what we have been honing our ability over the last few years, particularly with Saturn and Neptune moving through Pisces. We've actually been honing our spiritual mastery, if you like. We've been honing our connection. A lot of people are feeling that they really want to soak into this inner connection now. There's a sort of a sense that many people are wanting to just reconnect, especially with this move of Neptune back into Pisces and with Saturn being back in Pisces, is that there's this call to kind of slow down, to reconnect with our spirit, to really connect with our intuitive knowing, without maybe asking outside of us, asking AI, asking somebody else, asking a teacher, what is our innermost being saying? And in order to hear that, we have to slow down and we have to be quiet and we have to give ourselves opportunity to just listen, to just be. So it's a very powerful time to do that. It's a very powerful time to connect with the dream world. If you dream, maybe just over the next few weeks, really start writing your dreams down and just see what comes up. It's also a very good time to release whatever needs to be released because we are ending off cycles. So we've got a couple of months to do that. It's a very good time to clear and detox. So if you've got any areas of stagnancy, clear them. If you've got drawers that are laden with stuff, just take one drawer at a time and clear it and see what happens to your energy when you do that. Just one little drawer can make a difference because everything has energy and everything holds energy. So the more stuff we've got from the past that is sort of gathering dust, the more energy from the past we still have in our environment, the more stuck we can feel. So I feel that in the next few months, and we've got time, it's now beginning sort of November, we've got November, December into January, is to do a spring clean, I think would be really good, to honor the end of these big cycles. I mean, the one cycle is 165 years, that's the Neptune cycle, and the other is 29 to 30 years, that's the Saturn cycle. So how can we honor the end of these cycles so that we can welcome in something that we have no idea what it's going to look like? So it's really about clearing and building our inner foundation from the ground up, not being scared of the depths, because the depths is where the birth actually happens. That's where the seed starts germinating in the dark. That's where the baby starts forming in the darkness of the womb. So how can we actually connect with that energy? Now, the other things that are happening as well, just a little bit of a heads up, is Mercury on the 9th of November is going retrograde, and Uranus, which is the planet of change, actually goes back retrograde. It is going back retrograde. It retrogrades back into Taurus. And so we are going to have a connection between Mercury and Uranus, as well as Mars and Uranus. Now, Uranus is the planet of change. It's like the lightning bird. It's like that lightning that comes in and goes and changes things. So there can be changes in our communication. There can be changes in our energy, definitely. There can be spikes in our energy. It can feel almost electrical. There can be definitely sudden shifts and sudden surprises on our planet, which I think we're getting quite used to, but sudden surprises. And this does line up with the 3-eye atlas, which you might or might not have read about or watched anything about. It's this very big sort of interstellar or very big object that nobody can quite work out what it is. It's very symbolic though. And it sort of feels like it's shaking up things and bringing in big energies of transformation. It's helping us to move into a higher level of consciousness as far as I can see and feel. So it's just to actually be able to hold this energy. Our energies are being upgraded. There are a lot of light codes coming in. There are a lot of solar energy coming in. The Schumann resonance is really high. There's a lot of stuff in our cosmos which is shifting, and we are not separate from it. So in order for us to evolve with Gaia, with planet Earth, we have to look after our own vibration and hold a space and a foundation for change. And that comes through really connecting in with Mother Earth. Really use it, especially this full moon in Taurus. Go outside, sit outside under a tree. Just be with the earth. Leave your phone inside. Walk in nature. Feel into the energy of nature, because that will harmonize you and help you to harmonize with the earth as she shifts. Mother Earth is a being and she's shifting her consciousness. So as we actually tune into her energy, it actually helps us to align and harmonize our energies. So these energies really are not necessarily about moving forward in any great gusto yet. They're really more about revisiting with the retrograde, rewiring, reinforcing. Retrograde energy is re-energizing, refocusing, reviewing, reinforcing. It's kind of going back to the drawing board and looking at our values, looking at what really matters to us, focusing our attention on what really matters, possibly looking at our resources as well. Where are we investing our energy? Where are we investing our money, our resources? What are we investing in? And does it need to also be shifted? Does it need to be changed? Do we need to see it from another dimension? Do we need to look at it from a different perspective instead of doing the same old thing and expecting a new something to arise? To be the change, we've got to sometimes make the change. It almost feels like this Uranus opposition is shaking loose anything that can be dropped off the tree, anything that we can let go of, anything that is no longer doesn't authentically need to be there. What do we need to drop? Like the tree will drop a branch if it's pushing it over or pulling it over, or if it's broken or if it's dead, it'll drop it. What do we need to drop? What do we need to let go of that we do not need to carry into our next level of growth? Let's just call it that. What old patterns, old rooted, where's the rot? What's the old pattern that you might have about yourself or about somebody else? What's the old story you tell yourself about being worthy or being not worthy, or the things that you should be or shouldn't be? And what if you were exactly where you need to be right now? And what if you haven't ever made any mistakes? What if there's a divine plan and you are playing your role perfectly? Now, from that position, from that foundation, how do you want to show up for yourself? How do you want to show up for the other people on the planet, the beings on the planet? How do you want to serve? How would you like to shine your light? This is the visitation into the deeper part of our psyche and our souls. So I think this is what this full moon and the next couple of months are holding for us, is a time to recharge and refocus, realign. I drew a card for us today, and I drew it out of the Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron Reid. And funny enough, as normally happens with these readings, one card popped out and it seems very relevant. It's called Building Blocks. Essential meanings, strong foundations, a beautiful work in progress. The Oracle's message: you have everything you need to cultivate an extraordinary life. This is the time when your focus needs to be on the foundations you build upon. Your work, your relationships, your very being are underwritten by your values, your ethics, your morals, your core beliefs. See that as the roots. Are they still true for you? Will they stand the test of time and serve as the solid grounding upon which you construct your life? Now you're making changes that will affect everything in a positive way. Your destiny is truly a remarkable and beautiful design. So I love that. Prosperity message: you have everything you need to turn iron into gold in the alchemical process of creating the prosperous life you desire. That's the Scorpio process, the alchemical process. Now is the time to build on the strong foundation you've already laid for your prosperity. Keep in mind that these building blocks are imbued with the sparkling energy of your intentions. Own your dream. Remember that you always have more than enough, and you always are enough. So abundance is ever present. Your creativity is divinely inspired, and the design for your life is taking shape in service to the world. You are meant for success. The protection message: now is the time to address the cracks in the foundations of your life. Perhaps your values have changed, and it's time to strengthen your convictions and let go of the things that no longer serve the vision you have for your life. Or perhaps you chose to ignore the signs that a situation or an agreement that you entered is not right for you. Remove the rotten pieces and reinforce your core moral strength and integrity. Now is the time for rigorous honesty, for you are called to renovate and upgrade your consciousness. You will be happy when you do so. Spirit has a spectacular blueprint for your life, far beyond your imagination. Don't be afraid to replace what's not solid. So that's pretty powerful for this full moon and for the times that we find ourselves in. So just take some time over the full moon and after and before the full moon, if you're watching this before the full moon, to be quiet, to go still, to breathe out and let it all go. When you have a feeling, see if you can just be with the feeling. Breathe. Allow your breath to be the anchor. And breathe into the feeling. And when your mind starts to go into the story about the feeling, you just bring it back to the raw feeling. Feeling that you can feel somatically in your body. That's what Taurus is about. It's connecting, reconnecting with your body, with the senses, with the smell, the taste, the sensations in your body, the tightness. The more intimate we can become with our bodies, the more anchored we are. Because our body is always present. So the body will always show us what needs to be looked at, what needs to be let go of. The body will show you that you need to eat, what you shouldn't be eating, whether you need to drink. It'll tell you when you're dehydrated, but you have to listen and you have to slow down to do that. And this full moon is definitely one to slow down and literally smell the roses. Just be with Mother Earth. So I hope that's helped. If you'd like to see where this plays out in your chart, you're welcome to book a session with me. My details are below. And if this has resonated, please subscribe and hit the notification button and comment. Let me know how you're feeling these energies and if this is resonating with you. Lots of love.